we're going to go over a body weight windmill. So a couple things that you want to know first of all. This is a little bit of hip mobility, a lot of thoracic mobility. When you do a windmill exercise, you're actually starting overhead and then you're shifting into an arm bar position. So it's two different positions. You can also juice it for mobility when you do the body weight version, and I'll show you what that looks like, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do is set your stance up. So you don't want a wide stance on the windmill. So nothing sumo here. That you can see that's a little bit wider than shoulder width. This is shoulder width, okay? And I like to always take a little bit of a closer, more natural width. Why do I like this width? Because if you really look at where your femur bones line up in your pelvis, that's going to be actually where they sit. If you're out here, now you've almost got a little bit of bow-leggedness, and then people have got to externally rotate really hard to get the femur almost into an unnatural externally rotated position. So you're going to go about hip width apart, okay? Don't get too wide. Base foot is going to be straight. Other foot is going to turn out, okay? So it should look like an L. Now, the important thing to remember on a windmill is that the leg that is turned out is the only one that bends. This is going to be a stretched hip. This is going to be a weight-bearing, slight 20-degree bent leg. So when I start my windmill, usually I will have my hand up. Couple positions here. A lot of kettlebell, a lot of people like this pack shoulder. What do I think about pack shoulder? It's great for lifting weights. Not so great for doing any handstand work in gymnastics work you want to use. You got to be able to have both, okay? So I will pack, pull back, unlift, pack, pull back. And you see that allows me, I can get this far back past, okay? So to keep the mobility, you can't just pack the shoulder. You've got to reach, pull. If all you do is pack, the lats get too tight, traps don't get strong enough in the right way to be able to actually manipulate the humeral head in the groove. So we've got to get supraspinatus and other muscles tight and strong as well. I got my 20-degree knee bend. I'm going to take my left hand. I'm going to shave the inner thigh as I push my hip back. Now, where do I think about pushing this hip back? I'm actually not pushing it straight lateral. That's really important. See, if I just push straight lateral, then what's going to happen is I'm actually going to create some problems for this hip structure because I'm actually now almost internally rotated. So what I'm actually going to do is push about 45 degrees back and get a little stretch to my glute, okay? You can almost think about it like doing a 90-90 stretch where that leg is turned this way and you sit back. You're actually stretching the glute the same way. So I'm going to have my eyes on the hand. I shave my legs. Once again, I'm not pushing straight there. I'm pushing straight back 45. As I push back, I'm looking for a long oblique. So you've got to pry the thoracic spine up. And a lot of people will actually stand behind the client, put their hands back there to see if they can get flat. Same with a kettlebell arm bar. You want to see if they can get flat instead of rotated. Right? So this is rotated. We want to get flat, stacking your thoracic spine over itself. From the bottom position, if you can get there, pushing that hip back 45, we're going to come down. I just tap the floor, eyes on my hand. If I want to juice it a little bit, I just turn that shoulder all the way in, internal rotation of the humeral head in an elevated challenging position, and then I return it all the way out. Okay? How do I make this harder? Okay? First of all, one of the things is that a lot of people can get to the floor, but not with their spine completely straight. So I will show you. It's not a movement I practice a ton, okay? And I have tight obliques, okay? If I was to really be crucial about judging this, I'm pushing back now. Right about here, see how that stays flat? That is a good windmill position. If I come down lower, you see what happens? I start to lean with my ribs. So I don't hold that straight, I actually have to bend. So most people actually can't get down there without bending. I was doing them for years and just letting myself bend. So once again, I'll show you on the other side. Really fast, I just set up into an L, 20 degrees here. If this hip's tighter, it's going to force me to break sooner as well. And you see right here as I push this hip, all the movement's coming from the hip. I'm not leaning. I'm pulling this right knee open as well. I get to about here. That's the end. So I didn't quite get to the floor. And then this hand, of course, is up here, thoracic spine stacked. Now, if I could get to the floor, what could I do? I could just go lower and lower down into the windmill. Instead of just saying, I'm done when I touch my fingertips, I could go into knuckles, and even wrist, okay? But that's how you would do the body weight mobility for the windmill.